Okay, here I go. Good morning, wonderful women of the world. This is Ilona Budapesti, Chief Storyteller of 1 Million Women to Tech and President of Oxford Entrepreneurs, broadcasting live to you from London, UK. Today is the end of week 2 of the first ever Summer of Code with 1 Million Women to Tech. It's so good to see everybody. Roxana Agrigoroye. Roxartan writing renditions, Solini Santos, Anusha Lihala, hi, Bitun Kalanta, Carmen Lay, Aksa Jamil, Katya K. Oh my gosh, so many of you. Monica Sabo, Annie Nikrins, hi, good morning. The purpose of today is threefold. First, I would like to review what we have achieved this week with you, a brief summary of the week. Then I would like to give you an update about the organization. Well, actually, organization is an overstatement at this moment. I believe we're a community at this very stage. And at the end, I will have a announcement about the next week's Hackathon challenge to give you as much time as possible over the weekend to prepare for it. Also today you might have a little surprise at the end, so stay tuned. Let's get started. I am broadcasting to you from a hotel room, so I need to make sure that the audio and the video are good quality. Could you please tell me on a scale of 1 to 10 how good is the audio and video quality today? Please put it in here. Thank you. And here we go. So, interesting. It didn't show the screen. Okay, we'll try with that. Aha, we're getting there. And here we go. So week 1, we talked about the important skills for new beginner coders. And they are what I call meta skills. They're almost not just for coding, but beyond. It's for learning any type of new skill. Important is reading and writing so that you are able to process what you see and put out first the same, and then later on, as you will see, improve upon it. Attention to detail is number 2, which is really important. If you have been watching the replays or live, then you will know that attention to detail will always follow you along. And it's often small things that trip us up as humans, where a space is, where a semicolon is, whether the brackets are open or closed. And finally, spotting the differences. So this week, it was wonderful. We were able to pair program with some of you members who are watching live. And spotting those small differences like indentation or a comma missing actually makes or breaks your code. So we talked about these 3 meta skills. We also spoke about remembering that any kind of skill takes perseverance, that it's best not to copy and paste if you are working from exercise into your own. Type it out. people were joking about this a little bit, whether it's okay to copy and paste your own code from one line to the next. I think that's all right. But if you really want to practice, you can type that out as well. And then we went into the parallels between the Intro to Python and Python the Hard Way, and we discussed that really almost all approaches, no matter what you do, and no matter what order you study the basics in, you have 3 areas to learn. And those are the tools that you're using, data types, and language basic. Day 2, we jumped into letters and numbers with the character method, and we introduced a list of lists, which is a complex data structure in some ways, and gives you an introduction to the flexibility of how combining your previous knowledge can give you creativity. And then we gave you the answer to the continent counter hackathon by using a list of lists to model a table, the world, with a depth first search with recursion. Day 3, we looked at dictionaries and classes because these are, well, classes are the basics of object-oriented programming, and dictionaries give you the last missing piece of frequently used built-in data structure, data type. So we learned about constructors, modifying dictionaries, and then we really made a very big jump, because this day we covered basically chapters 39 and 40 within Learn Python the Hard Way, both of which are very large exercises and chapters. This is where we learned to create our first class ever with the class keyword and assign properties to it. I think we had a lot of fun in this class, right? Can we get a thumbs up? That was a very fun class. It was really amazing. And yesterday we had a very quick and intensive class on modules, on how to modularize our code and how we can also reuse code from others. And this is sort of a superpower, because this way tens of software engineers can work together, various teams can work together, and really thousands of people's of work can be learned and reused. We also started preparing for next week by learning about pip, Jupyter Notebook, and the NLTK. Fabulous. Let me now see if there are any questions. You can see, oh great, the sound quality is good. You can hear almost perfectly. Wonderful. Audio 6 too low, video 10, low volume. Oh, wonderful, good. Classes are very complex, Andrea, absolutely. And honestly, classes will live with you for years. I mean, all of them will, but your understanding of classes and how to use classes will grow with you for years. Versus the basic data structures, I would say, after about 3 months of intensive tinkering, you kind of get them. Like there are some nuances language to language, but there isn't so much depth or variability. Versus classes are, how do you really model the world, and how do they interact even with each other, and that will take years and years of improvement in your understanding. Wonderful. Okay, in this case I will try to now grab the week's review. See if that worked. Yes, it did. Huh. Okay, fabulous. It's a little harder with just one screen to do all the switching and the live casting, but I think I'm almost there. We went through the course material, Now I wanted to talk to you just very briefly about the organization's goals versus actual. So if you may know that our goal is our main mission, the main mission is to bring 1 million women to technology, of course. That is the wildly important goal, is to offer coding education, and preferably free coding education, to 1 million women by 2020. At the same time, completely, and it's actually possible. I mean, you know, if you think about it, we need about 2,024 people to be, let's say 2,000 people to be gold members in order to be able to supply all 20,000 to do-it-yourselfers, and maybe we can even do about 100,000 do-it-yourselfers if 2,000 people become gold members. This won't pay for the human cost, but it would pay for the server costs. So where are we right now? Well, it's very interesting. We have about 300, well, let's put it this way. There are about 3,000 DIYers registered in the membership portal, in the member portal. So that's very nice. And we have about, well, 90,000 Facebook followers. We have about, I would say, 20,000 people on the email list. And this is where we are at the moment. We also have, let's say, we have 12 VIP and about 300 gold members who make all of the rest possible, to be honest, because at the moment this is what we have. And we have a couple of, and we have 2 official partners, actually 4 partners: Oxford Entrepreneurs, Oxford University Press. We have the UN General Secretary's Office IT group support, and we are receiving some support from Facebook developer circles. So we're getting there. To make this really scalable, however, we are hoping that maybe by the end of this summer we could get about 10,000 do-it-yourselfers registered on the member portal, or ideally all 20,000 people who pre-registered. Would be great if they could know about the member portal and come. The problem is not everybody opens the email, or perhaps they don't quite receive the information well. It's not easy to communicate with 20,000 to 90,000 people. I think next week you will see some, hopefully some milestones. It would be lovely for us week on week to see where we are compared to the final goal. And so that as a community we could do this together. What has happened this week? This week the leadership committee was formed, and I'm very happy to report to you that there is a small group of volunteers who will be working together to create a structure for 1 million women to tech over the next year to make the mission possible. So look out for more information from us. There will also be a new structure that we have been working on, which is into 24 different areas, and more information will come on that as well. And finally, we also have the ebook pre-order page. I think it's a good idea if I show these pages. It's just that shifting between the windows is really difficult. Let me try. So if I do this one, and maybe I do window capture. And here we go. Thank you for your patience. So if you are running one of the country specific do-it-yourselfers page, could you please make sure that members all are registered on the DIY member portal? This is the only way that we can communicate in a single space together with the group. And we appreciate the donation, but the main point is that they actually join. I'm not going to scroll down because Sophie's information is cooked in here personally. So if you could please ask the do-it-yourselfers that you are interacting with to make sure that they're registered, this would be wonderful. Also, if you have the ability, we need about 1,600 more gold and I think now just 11 more VIPers to meet our first year's funding goals as a not-for-profit. So if you have been enjoying what we've been doing together, you have grown from it, and you are able to operate in a very startup-like environment because we are creating this as a community together. And if you're comfortable and capable to handle this very young startup phase, then please consider joining one of the gold or the VIP memberships. This link is also in every YouTube video, I believe, below. I should put these links though in the chat. So here's the DIYers, please. Please encourage other DIYers to join here. And if you can, please consider taking a membership. Finally, there has been some questions about the Intro to Python book. So this is a pre-order for it. This will be produced, well, we said right after the Summer of Code, but we'll try to get it to you after the Python track. And it is producing what we've learned in week 1 into an ebook. So it's Learn to Code by Chris Pine, transformed into Python by yours truly to allow you to learn Python. It includes the explanation for the exercises and solutions in plain English so that you can have fun. And of course, it includes code for the exercises and the solutions so that you can edit them and play with them. And if you've noticed, we changed some of the language to this so that it uses feminine pronouns and also more feminine examples so that we can feel feminine and feel like a woman. So if you're interested, anybody can purchase. People asked us. This is going to provide coding education to 1 million women by 2020. This is also a fundraising for 1 million women to tech. It's the first ebook we will produce. So yeah, please get it. If $5 is not a problem for you, then please get it. If $5 is a problem for you, then don't worry about it. The YouTube videos and the code is all up on GitHub and YouTube. It's free. If you can't afford it, don't worry. Just learn. But if $5 is really not a problem for you and you would like to have this and the exercises and the solutions, then please get the pre-order now. Your support enables others. We are a 501c3 educational nonprofit charity. So if you know anything about charities in the United States, this is the status that approved charities receive. So we are an educational charity in the US. And please consider getting this pre-order of the ebook because you can become part of our global women's network And this course is sort of the foundation, the first week that we have together. Finally, if you are financially inclined, it's worth getting the ebook now because the pre-order is only $5, and after we produce it, we will put the price up to $10 US. So you get it at half price. So anybody is welcome to support the making of the first ebook. Pre-order here. Anybody's welcome to pre-order here. Not do-it-yourselfers absolutely included, but even friends and family. Cool, cool. Last but not least, let me announce what the hackathon will be. I hope you are ready for that. Let me just, which window is it? If you have too many windows, maybe you know what I'm talking about here. But I found it. Yes, good. And now I'm going to switch to it. Aha, I think this is it. There you go. Wonderful. So actually the hackathon will be a combination of research and coding. And you're very welcome to do this either manually or with software or with crawling. So Python allows you, for example, Python has a scrapey extension to crawl the web. I should say that. What we would like to ask you for Week 3 Hackathon is to suggest a keyword strategy for 1 million women to tech. A keyword strategy is more than just a keyword strategy. It's actually our direction. It's actually our content. So we have come up with 12 course offerings for you, well, actually 11 plus a surprise for the Summer of Code. But we need your wisdom and we need your insight. Since we have a global community for people from 145 plus countries, it's possible that a country by country strategy is actually needed. And as 6 volunteers cannot achieve that, we would love to rely on your ideas and we will put them into reality. So please know that this hackathon is the first one where your output will affect others. Please have a look. We included 3 readings for you about content strategy that started from the canva.com content marketing blog. These are quite in-depth but non-technical articles that explain why we need to do research at all. Then step 2 would be to create a plain English write-up of your proposed content strategy. Let's say, please write in GitHub flavored markdown like this document. And please include 3 areas. These are quite intuitive. It's about technology, about women and NBs, and then the intersection between these 2. So what is the landscape? What are the most popular blogs? What are the most popular questions, really? What are people seeking in terms of the technology world? What is it within the women's world? And then what's the combination of the 2, the women in tech and NBs in tech? Feel free to start using web crawling. We did a bit of web crawling before the Summer of Code if you watched the daily code puzzles. And it would be very interesting for you to start scraping and creating dictionaries in Python of the keywords and even questions, like real human questions that are driving lots of traffic, which means there is huge demand and need. In step 3, please create a timeline and a channel by channel breakdown of the landscape By timeline, I mean an implementation timeline that you suggest. Timeline that you suggest for the content. And maybe it would be really nice to have a channel by channel breakdown of the landscape, maybe country specific ideas would be bonus, because you know your countries much better than we do. And this is where your contribution will make a tremendous difference. And finally, if you could make your suggestion for the keywords, that is, which topics are truly meaningful for women. So for example, is Intro to Python really the best ebook to start with? Or should we have started with something like, what are the possible career paths to break into technology? So if you can think of truly what is it that people need and help us to address that, this is the community's challenge together. If you can, please include estimated traffic with each keyword or topic, but this is, if you can. And definitely bonuses, big bonuses for country-specific ideas. Thank you so much. This is it from myself. And now you are in for a treat, let me tell you, because we have a guest for you. Can I have, please, a thumbs up if everybody's here? Oh my gosh, you can't see the Sublime window. Can I get some thumbs ups? Thank you, Jessie. Okay, you have a huge treat. This is really, really, really premium content, but I decided that because we have such an amazing guest, we will keep this open for all do-it-yourselfers and the open and anybody who is watching. I have here with me Patricia's son, who really for the better half of 40 plus years has been in conflict resolution and in all forms and shapes, from helping large company CEOs to celebrities to helping the United States and the Soviet Union, as well as Israel and Palestine, to come together, to personal counseling with families and relationships. She has always been a beacon of light on how to resolve conflicts. And today she will tell us about men and women and communication in general. So I'm going to just set the video so that it's full screen on her and set her up. And please welcome with a huge round of applause, Patricia. All right.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to give you these. If you can put these into your ears.
Okay. It may work. Okay. May not work. We'll see.
You're on.
Okay. Well, as I was waiting, I was thinking, what salutation shall I give you? How shall I address you? And the ones...
Lots of claps.
It crashed?
Lots of claps.
Oh, claps. Oh, great. Yes, and I thought the truest, and I guess I want to say respectful, elevating way is wise women. So I am very grateful to be with such wise women. And I know you are wise because energy attracts energy. And I know Illy very well. I know her intention is so pure and good to help women. And women who are wise enough to want to be supported and supportive to others are the people who really become the backbone of humanity. They become the support system in subtle ways. I'm not saying it has to be big or, titles or anything. It's just in everyday manner of being and thinking. You're open to know the power of change, and that all change has a little window, a door, or maybe a Y in the road a little bit, what will you choose to do with that window in that now, this moment, that gives you a greater choice, that gives you a better choice, that lets you turn change into a direction that is wonderful, that is empowering, that is healthy, that is respectful, that increases communication accurately with you and other people. And of course, men and women always have some great difficulties there. It's been, eons old, misunderstandings and not quite trusting enough, and all that kind of thing that is essential to connection and meaningful cooperation and ability to transform all these big changes that are happening globally, everywhere, to every single human being on the planet. We are all learning. I don't even want to say learning. We are all inventing new responses. This is the key to magnificent success. It seems small sometimes. It seems just even a little difficult to give up being annoyed with something or outraged at an injustice or something, any difficulty human beings encounter, big or small. When we set our hearts as the Geiger counter, the Geiger counter is the little device that tells you where it's good, where it's not good, hot and cold, so to speak. And the hot, in this case, the driving direction, is the experience of love. Because love is a rectifier of connection. All our bad connections or difficult connections or disappointing connections, they all have a certain lack of love in them. And so, what we are beginning to do as a species, our whole humanity, man and woman alike, so that we create a future that is made in the moment of now. Every choice now, when more than tinged with love, is powerful and will set you in a course that you cannot predict, you cannot plan for, though you may plan for it. I'm not, but the planning isn't going to be what makes it work. The planning is not the thing that's going to let the universe deliver to you, almost like magnetism, like the gravity of the earth holds us to the earth. There is a gravity in heaven too. And when we get heaven's gravity pulling us up and earth's gravity holding us anchored, what happens is we become balanced. And from this balanced place, you can do almost anything. It won't necessarily happen instantaneously, though many times it does. It just happens instantaneously. You're in a new state, and so therefore new ideas come, new connections come, phone calls, people think of you. Oh, I should call. And things begin to happen. And now that you have this wonderful network and this wonderful educational opportunity to increase your knowledge, there's two kinds of uh, knowing. One is knowledge, and the other is sort of a spiritual intuition. And you need the two together to be magnificent, actually, to tell the truth. It's quite amazing. And to have one without the other has a little difficulties, because if you have the spiritual without the knowledge, there's certain things you will not be able to do in this mechanical world. And if you have the mechanical knowledge but not the spiritual opening and wisdom, you will make grave mistakes, and you will probably hurt people, most of all yourself. And so it's very important to just have a kind of concept that your success really is empowered like a sacred engine when you can move to this balanced place over and over. And the way you know when you need it is when you are dissatisfied, when you are frightened, when you are angry, when you don't like what's happening. You need to find this balanced place. And when you consider it, that's what finding it is. You just consider it. When you consider, you have the power to align yourself to heaven's goals, heaven's goodness. Then heaven lifts you, moves with you, sets things up for you. Things happen in your future and in the now that are going to create opportunities and connections that will heal not only you, but and your family and all those you love, but all the people on the planet. And when women wake up, and we are all asleep, so I'm not, men are asleep, women are asleep, we're all a little bit asleep. So when women wake up to their power of nurturing, and nurturing has a great deal to do with keeping life moving in a healthy way. Women are masters of this. We've been given great gifts as women. We've given bodies that grow humanity, that grow life within us, and give us intentions so much to love back the innocent new life. And try to take a tiny bit of that knowledge about how to do that and offer it to yourself personally and to the world at large. That when you meet someone who's being disappointed or unreasonable or even cruel, very wrong, doing something very bad, it's important not to do what I call match energy with them. You need to set the frequency that will encourage and allow, just permit, allow people to match energy with you. And that's alignment. And that is the essence of all conflict resolution, is because you have empathy, you see, you let yourself a little bit consider what has motivated, what has brought this person to this fearful, unkind, or not good, or wrong decisional place. And including yourself sometimes. What has brought that about? And it's always some kind of wound, some kind of defense against being harmed and hurt as you have been or they have been in the past. So one of the things I used to suggest, I was a lovely lady who worked for me for many years, and she used to take all the orders for workshop recordings that I would sell as times past as tapes, now CDs, and now MP3s and 4s. So, but what she had as her dedication in service was to do this, to help me spread this support in the world. And one day I had a radio show, and she actually called in, and she said, "Patricia, I know what you teach very well," and she did. She was at many workshops helping me record them and so on. So she said, "But I have trouble, being kind or gracious to people when they are being unfair or not kind to me, and I can't get over it." She said, "I just can't break through to the place where it's genuine. I hear what you say, I'd like to do it, but it doesn't really come out really. I just don't really get there. I don't like them. I don't like what they did, and it's hard." So I said, "Well, one of the things I've learned through the years that has helped me when I was going through exactly those same experiences, trying to heal myself, cleanse myself, elevate my consciousness, I realized that because of this law of matching energy, whatever you're feeling, you're sending. So if you're sending disappointment or distrust or disdain or something you don't like about that person, guess what? They send it right back to you. They don't like you either. No matter what they say, no matter what words they use, they're picking up what you're really sending. So the great power you have is to change what you are sending. But it has to be real, and that's the predicament. So my friend, assistant, helper, who called in, said, but I have trouble really doing it. And still want to, but I can't. I just get mad at people. And so I said, well, one thing that I found helped me was I would imagine somebody who was being maybe very bad, maybe even very, very cruel, terrible in the world. You know, persons who mess up the world, and people who in our families or life are always the one that goes and makes things not work and so on. So whenever you encounter this, or even so on, you just imagine that person as a little baby. And you see how beautiful they are, how innocent they are, how open and longing for love and joining into the world with being respected and brave and able to adventure and create. And what all human beings long for as babies. We all long for this. We're all different in type and personality, but at our core soul, we all long for this. This is our birthright as humans. And what happens is we get hurt. You know, we may have parents who are harsh, mentally ill in one way or another, having different problems, or a caretaker that hurts us, some event traumatic, and it arrests our development. It makes us be harsh. It makes us get stuck and feel powerless. And so when people are being unfair or cruel, they are not well. And what they need is your love. They don't need your judgment. You may make a judgment. It's fine to judge things in terms of assessing what's really what you're perceiving, but judgmental is stuck. They are this. And when you do that, well, then you set the matching energy into a stuck place and you lose your power. So the greatest power you have on earth is to change yourself. And when you change yourself towards the good, towards a resonance, a connection, an empathy, a consideration, you slow down and you open. And that doesn't mean you concede a bad point or anything. It just means you concede the person has more to them than their bad point. And maybe you're missing a point, and you won't find out what that is unless you sort of relax and slow down and observe. And if you slow down and observe them, and you consider them in their true essence, which is as they may be as a little baby, then your energy is tender. Then your energy is respectful. It is kind. And I have found, I almost want to say no one, but I'm sure some have resisted it, but almost no one can resist this. This is such a powerful thing. And when they really stubbornly want to resist it, they don't want to talk to you and they don't see you. And that's the end. They just won't deal with you. They won't have to face it. But they won't hurt you anymore. They will stop. They can't be disrespectful back because you've been so loving and respectful to them. At an energetic, doesn't necessarily change what you say if your words are thoughtful in the first place. It changes your energetic self inside, your attitude. And when you change that, that is the greatest power we have. We're social beings. We are all connected. And when you find that ability, your success is guaranteed, because in one way or another, you will be a creator for the good. And you will become a healer to people around you, and not least of all, to yourself. To yourself. And so this is the best thing. I mean, it's sort of like, I was trying to think, what's a little gift what's the best thing I can say? And I think that's it. I think we are in the midst of this great, evolutionary leap in awareness, and it's impacting our whole species, everybody. And so everybody's in a lot of chaos. And when that is happening, there's room for new growth, new choices, to slow down, reflect, especially the next several months. Do lots of observing, slowing down, and reflecting back to the world and to yourself this frequency of consideration, of goodwill. So I didn't finish my story with my friend. So she called on the radio and said, I have a problem with that. So I suggested she see them all as little babies. And so 2 days later, she calls back on the radio and says, Patricia, I tried what you said. I went to the bank and I was waiting in line. I wasn't being helped. Things were not being done fairly at first. And so in that moment, I started to see the tellers and the people in line all as innocent children. And she said, then immediately, everybody started helping. She said, I got the help I needed, plus things I didn't even know I needed. She said, I felt joyful inside. I wasn't even worried if I didn't get my attention. And when I didn't care if I got my attention, I got more good attention. So the paradox is that as we let go of a fear image, of a fearful, judgmental kind of concern, what happens is something new that you have been the nexus of. You have been the door opener on. And this is the greatest power on earth, really, to do this, because it will help us love the planet, take care of the animals, the land, the air, the water, each other, our mates, our children, our friends, our neighbors. Make goodwill with other countries who may be struggling, to not be trapped in any kind of despair, no matter how serious it is. Pray or open to inspiration, something that this is making room for, that is coming to you now. This is it. This is how you do it. And when you structure this attitude, all your communications, all your negotiations are transformed, because one, you're not desperate to win. You don't need agreement immediately. You're not trying to control the other person. You're just opening a frequency of goodwill, and let's do something great. Let's see what we could do. And from that place, the universe is allowed to serve you, because you have just served the universe. And, this is heaven, this is spirit. So we need the balance of earth and spirit. We need them both. And this is our power and our ability at all times to choose. So I really love you, ladies. I'm so proud of you, and I'm looking forward to see what you all develop into. So thank you so much for listening to me. I send you much love.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
thank you, thank
Okay.
you, thank you.
Let me take the headset from you.
Yes, you may have.
What a treat, ladies. If we can all be in that frequency, a million of us, this world will change in an instant. All right. Are there any questions that you would like to ask of Patricia? I was thinking, this is the beauty of live streaming versus a recording, is that, would you be willing to take a question?
Of course.
Okay, there's a little delay between us and them typing in, so it's about 10 seconds. But if you would like to do, please put in a question, type it in. Oh, lots of beautiful things. I'll just read to you what people have been saying. Yannick says, I must find that balance. Yes. Monica sent you flowers. She says, nice meeting you here with a capital U. Thank you, Monica. Louise Tamlet, law of matching energy to resonate good. Patricia, you are so wise. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, so empowering, says Bituin. Thank you for those beautiful words, says Kata. And lots of thank yous. And I would like to say as well, for all of you who are VIP members, I have decided that I will sponsor a private session, a private reading with Patricia, if you would like to take it up, because her wisdom and experience is I mean, it's just unparalleled. You know, I've probably worked with about 3,000 people globally, you know, from Harvard to Oxford and many other places. And I have really met many excellent, outstanding, lovely people. But I think without Patricia, maybe even 1 million women to tech wouldn't have happened. So I would love to offer that to the VIP members. And wow, it's just thank yous pouring in, no questions. Inspiring words, says Annie KTK. Lots of hands together. Oh, she's doing as well. Thank you. Oh, there is one big question. Is that all right?
Yes.
I think I will read it to you and then we switch back. So, Joanna says, Patricia, how one deal with a baggage of real abuse from people that by definition should prevent you from hurt.
Yes.
She says, I tried to imagine that person as a baby, but what I saw was a monster. And I felt tormented inside, and I wanted to scream and cry.
Of course, yes, I understand.
Please speak in.
I can't hear this anyway.
Yeah, no, but
Oh,
this
the
is
mic,
this is the microphone.
Thank you, thank you.
Please,
Okay.
Joanna.
Well, I love your question. It is right to the point. It is the most difficult thing that we all have to face at some point or another. And and some people more than others. Some people more than others. And I agree that this is something that, if possible, and I know it's not always possible, and I don't know what position of power this person has, you know, if they are a parent or a mate or somebody that you feel you cannot walk away from. Uh, I, I, I remember once I was on a television show in Ireland, and they didn't have divorce at that time, and the moderator, the host, asked me about alcoholism in Ireland, and that so many families had that problem, and that women had to sort of stay for the children with an abusive, well, I don't want to call the person so much abusive. They weren't themselves. They were inebriated. They were under alcohol. People who don't drink but are abusive are under the influence of their own terrors. So the monster you see in this person is the monster they felt at some point in their life, and that this is their inappropriate, of course, way of fending off their own inner terror. If they abuse you, it is because they have been abused and are trying to not be abused again. So it's like the victim-victimizer thing. Uh, the victim sometimes, when they grow up, either becomes another victim again, or they become a victimizer. And when you're the victim, often because you're a child and you don't have power, or there's certain structures where you're living where you don't actually have power, you always have the power to move away in some way, to distance yourself from the dysfunction. The more you think of them only as a monster, the less power you have ultimately to protect yourself by envisioning better futures for yourself. And it's essential that we think of better futures, that we allow the universe to provide better futures, to allow circumstances in the universe to help protect you. And these are, oh, comes to mind, someone I know very well, a story, oh dear. She, how
if
much?
you lean back, they can see your hands.
Oh, they can see me better. Oh, okay.
Yes.
So it comes to mind someone I know very well who told me this story after many years of knowing them, that she had a husband long ago that was extremely violent and beat her and hurt her children, and she just didn't know what to do. She was beside herself. And so one day she she just sort of fell on her knees and prayed, please help me, save me, God, save me, help me. But it was a different kind of prayer. It was a different kind of surrender. And I almost, now that I'm thinking of it, I almost don't want to tell the story. But what happened was, she got news that night that her husband had been in an accident and died. He was drinking and he had an accident and he died. And at first she felt very guilty because she said, well, I didn't want him to die, but that wasn't her choice. The universe, you know whose choice it was? It was his choice. Because when people who are abusive get caught or hurt, they are punishing themselves. When they're punishing you, they're seeing a projection of themselves that they think is weak, and they're doing what was done to them. And so this is where it comes from. It helps to know where it comes from, because then you can't take it quite as personally, and you don't need to make the other person strictly a monster, even though what they may very well be doing is monstrous. I get that. That's true, and we do have to do the best we can to separate ourselves. So on this program on television in Ireland, he asked me, so what can be done? He thought he had me trapped, that there was no way that I could solve this problem. And I said, oh, that's an easy problem. And he looked at me like this, what do you mean, easy problem? If you're married to an alcoholic and there's no divorce, you have to stay there and you have to get abused and spends the money for the family and blah, blah, blah. I said, no, it's not difficult. If your religious belief says you may not divorce, don't divorce. It's up to you. If you decide not to divorce, fine. But you may not live with someone who is inebriated, who is not themselves, who is not able to be themselves by what choices they are making. If you try to judge them, blame them, instruct them, punish them, you just get stuck to it like glue. So as whatever way your mind and spirit can devise as you pray for healing and freedom from this abuse, you try to, one, distance yourself from the toxic energy and consciously associate yourself, whether it's people or thoughts or organizations or situations, that give you freedom, that give you respect, that outright give you love is good, but to just make those inner choices as you, instead of being just the victim of a monster, horribly wounded on the floor, there is a way inside yourself you separate from that almost karmic old dance that humanity has. And men do it to women and women do it to men. Men do it to women physically with their fists. Women do it with psychological words and undermining. And both are of violence and both are toxic and are about control. So you're shifting your focus to be goodness in yourself, magnetizing yourself to be attracted to good people, to good situations, to healing things, and trying to let your association with abuse be made distant, and definitely, if possible, physically distant. You can't correct people. Your job is not to correct them. Your job and your power is always to correct you. And this is very hard to take when obviously you're the victim and they're the victimizer. But there could be no more victimizers if no one would play victim. So it's a match of energy. Victim, victimizer is a dance. I should have said two matching energies exactly the same or exact opposites. And so this is a breakthrough. This is hard. This happens in tiny increments and sometimes big. So but I know that the power of it all is to shift your end of the energy equation into one that is good and good for you. Always include goodness for you. It is not selfish to be good to you. It is only selfish to not be good to other people in the mistaken belief that that's how you get to be good for you. First of all, be good to you. This is your piece of the planet. You're sitting in it. It's your ultimate responsibility. Be good to you. And being good to you means you change your energy with other people. You start to, especially difficult people. And when they're really bad, try to just get away from them. Don't play. Don't dance. Find a way to just not be available to that dance. And of course, it's very unique into each person and each situation, even for the same person. So I cannot tell you everything. I can only tell you the energetic principle that I know works. And the other thing I can do is send you so much love and blessings for, for a bright light in your heart to free you from this abuse and to be able to take care of your own body and your own self and your own choices. So I send you blessings all. Thank you.
Wow, what a wonderful question and what a wonderful answer. Thank you, Joanna, for being willing. And I think everybody who has gone through trauma in their lives has just received much support. So, can we all send much love to Joanna and everybody else who may have the need for it? And thank you so much. Have a lovely, lovely day. 5 p.m. British time, we will have inner coding on the membership area because Sophie is now in the United States. So we will do it at 5 p.m. British time instead of 10 a.m. British time. And thank you, everybody. Have a very good hacking and hackathon. I will push this up now. And we will see you on Monday morning at 9 a.m. for week 3. Bye.